Okay, with this replay, there's 7 hours and 55 minutes left in the war. We have Rosa 4777 hitting Hunter of VN Champions. So have a look at the base. This is interesting. I talk about different styles of defence, unbalanced and balanced. So this is what I call a balanced air defence, where the air defences are spread evenly around the base. Now, I sort of look at it as there's several types of unbalanced, so balanced air defence. You've got the balanced air defence where you've got the air defences in the middle of each side, and you've got the balanced air defences where you've got the air defences in the corners. So that's two type. Oh, so one dimension is, are they cornered or are they in the middle of the side in terms of the air defences. The other is the depth of the air defences. So you'll see people put them sort of shallow, sort of middle and deep. Here you've got a situation where the air defences, one air defence has typically got two other air defences in range. I call that a deep air defence. So that's probably as deep as you'll see in terms of an air defence. So here's a hit on a base with a balanced air defence with air defences in the middle of each side, where the air defence is very deep. The problem with that is you end up with a situation where you're almost always going to have an Inferno and an AD in range, so that puts sort of 2 down for the freeze. But that's sort of how I describe this type of defence. So you've got a situation also here where you've got a centred clan castle and queen, so they're not just centering the clan castle, they're centering the clan castle and queen, which is becoming increasingly common now because people are trying to protect the queen. Not that it's working, because I think the way of protecting the queen is actually different. I think the way you're going to protect the queen is with lots of firepower around the queen and distraction troops. Basically, you need to use skeletons and heavy firepower in the area. But the queen's very hard to protect, like the CC troops are, of course. So the other way to protect the queen is have a whole lot of troops that can't just be zapped. And so when the queen gets activated and the CC comes over, you've got a lot of other troops they're attacking, which is aside from the queen, and those troops will tend to be closer to or more proximate to the attack force. So now, other thing about this base, you'll notice that the whiz towers all have an air defence in range. So you can see that basically means that the whiz towers on a good part of the base are going to be completely useless, given that there's going to be lavas in most of the raids, which are going to try and 3-star. So that means the base is very light on air splash defence. Red bombs basically are only useful if you're going to use an unbalanced base style, because you find to actually not trigger a red bomb, you've got to have almost the red bombs, 2/3 of the base away from an air defence. So red bombs are pretty much useless, but with red bombs pretty much useless and the whiz towers having ADs in range, the base is almost free of air splash defence. And this is, I'll keep harping on this because in terms of the reason bases are getting 3-starred right now, it's the lack of air splash defence is the reason bases are getting 3-starred by loons all the time right now. The other thing I've noticed in terms of the defence of this base, that they've spread out, and you're seeing this more and more with loon defence. They've spread out the buildings to make sure the drop area is really wide. And the idea is to make sure that maximise the time the loons take to come in to the buildings, and that way they take the maximum damage. I'm not a huge fan of that, just because I suspect it makes the base quite a bit weaker to go with loon. But that said, we're not seeing any 3-stars by that at the moment. We're mostly seeing 3-stars all the time. Excuse me. So anyway, let's have a look at this raid. So here we've got the what's becoming the sort of standard Inferno attack. So he's going to come from this side. The queen will come in here. You've got so I wonder how many air defences he's going to take out here. So Golem. Queen's clearing things out. It doesn't bust the wall, lets the queen clear some things out first. Good strategy there, otherwise the golems take more damage. This way his golems last a bit longer. Using some wizards to clear everything out. That'll help his king go straight. If he drops his king, drops his king late, good. When he drops the jumps, the golems drop over. The CC will come through. Oh, they've got a couple of wizards and a witch. And he zaps the CC, and I think he's missed the witch, so not probably being a bit eager with his zap there. Skeletons have come in. You can see at the end of the day, they don't sort of save you from the queen doing its work. And like, this is a really good spot to attack here. Look at that. With this, just pause for a second. So we've got a situation where we've got side-based, so middle of each side for the air defense, and of course Inferno's closed. So what he's done in terms of picking where to attack from, he's picked a corner, because that way he can get 2 Infernos rather than 1. And the second thing he's done is picked a corner where he's got 1 accessible Inferno. So he's jumped into the pocket with 1, 2 air defences and Inferno present, and might even score a whiz tower as well. So that's why he's picked that spot to attack from. So use the Queen ability, boom, 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 take down an Inferno and air defense, and that's a pretty good start to that raid. 2 golems, a couple of wizards, the king and queen, and taken out 2 air defences and Inferno. And so the reason why it's attacked from that point is because of the style of base. Now, have a look at the main wave. So 1, 2, 3, lava, 1, 2, 3. You notice this is becoming, this is the standard drop right now. You know, you just drop a small bunch, 2 or 3 balloons at each defense as you work around the base, and that way it's like 1, 2, 3, lava, 1, 2, 3, might be a lava, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it'd be, you know, 1, 2, 3, another lava here, maybe 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, something like that will be the sort of standard drop right now, and it's working really well. You're just minimizing the distance the balloons travel and making sure that they don't path around the base, but they actually path through to the center. Also, not the air splash damage matters a lot with this, with the way this is, as you can see. So lava comes over, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So lava, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's sort of the fairly standard drop right now. So you got rage through to the Inferno. It's typical to have the Inferno in one of your ranges rage, freeze it, and by the time it wakes up, it's always gone. And you can see that now that the base is gone. You'll notice that the other thing you'll notice in a lot of the raids now, you're getting more and more points of drop. We'll have a look at how many points of drop there were in this raid at the end. But have a look, the base is gone, and there's tons and tons of balloons left. And fantastic attack there by Rose 477. So let's have a look at the number of drops, because this is actually the other thing which is happening right now, is you're seeing more and more points of drops in terms of the attack. So let's have a look. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points of drop, and you'll notice on the drop on the whiz tower, rather than dropping the 2 together, he dropped them separately so they both don't take damage. So there's an 8-point drop there, and you can see wipe the base really well. And each of the drops, you know, 2 or 3 balloons at each of the points of the perimeter where there's a defense building. Anyway, great there from Rosa. That brought the war up to 7-1 at this stage with 8 hours to go. So Exodus looking pretty good at this stage.